Hey everybody, it's your girl J9E. Um, this is the sentencing day for the murderers, Ahmaud Arbery. It's the three of them: the dad, the son, and the son is the one who actually pulled the trigger. And oh God, yeah. But so and then there's the guy who was following in the car and filmed it. Who apparently didn't even really know these guys and just had no spine, I suppose, and just went along with this thing. And this is what happens when you do that. But this is the sentencing day. So I've seen a couple of things. I kept clicking them on and off because I didn't want to hear everything. But this is like just a snippet from, I think this is 11 Alive I'm looking at. We're just gonna take a little quick listen. Should be a short video.
All right, the way the court's going to address this, I'm going to make a few remarks and then address each one of the defendants with regard to sentencing. And the remarks are intended to be general, but also taken into consideration in the individual sentencing portion of the court's statement. So that's how we intend to proceed. So the court has heard the evidence in the case, has accepted the jury's verdict, listened to the...
Yeah, I would hope you did. Yeah, guilty, guilty, guilty. Lots of guilties. All three of them. I thought, yeah, that third guy, he's gonna really be sitting on it in jail because, he just like was there and decided to go along with them and follow them, and he filmed it. He filmed it, like just, ugh, I tell you.
presentations here today in aggravation and mitigation. And candidly, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. This is a case that has taken a lot of time and energy on a lot of people's parts.
Yep.
And has been a case of note, not just in this community, but really in a lot of communities. But what we're here today to determine is what an appropriate sentence is, quite separate from the notoriety of the case and any other outside influence that may exist. And so the court is going to be very careful in explaining that the court has considered just the evidence and what is appropriate under the circumstances of this case to consider in the Superior Court. So that all being said, let me start with this statement. As we all now know, based upon the verdict that was rendered in this court in November, Ahmaud Arbery was murdered. Mm-hmm. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy on many.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling it what it was, because that's exactly what it was. It was a hunting and a murdering. This is what happened.
Many levels. On February 23rd of 2020, almost 2 years ago, a resident of...
It's been that long? Oh, his poor mother. Almost 2 years. Jesus. Almost 2 years. Like that. Like, she's like an older lady. It's like time isn't promised once you get past a certain point. Time isn't even likely. I'm glad she made it to this point, and.
Glenn County, a graduate of Brunswick High, a son, a brother, a young man with dreams, was gunned down in this community.
Mm-hmm. while just taking a run. It's like something from a horror. That's a horror movie. In broad daylight, y'all. In broad daylight. You just going for a run, and all of a sudden, it's literally just like the way that it's like a stereotypical, a pickup truck with a guy on the back of it with a shotgun. Starts following you, yelling, "Hey, you." Oh my God, that is the horror film for black folks.
As we understand it, he left his home apparently to go for a run, and he ended up running for his life.
Oh.
He entered the English home at approximately 1:04 p.m. and left that home at about 1:08 on that day. At 1:14, Greg McMichael calls 911 to let them know that there's a black male running down the street.
Oh my God. He called the police to say, "Hey, there's a jogger. There's a jogger. I have a shotgun. Should I follow him? Should I confront him with my shotgun? Is that a great idea?"
And within moments, Ahmaud Arbery is shot and killed. The three men that are now before this court chased him in a residential neighborhood for at least 5 minutes in pickup trucks, armed with a shotgun and a .357 revolver. The state mentioned this today about the time period, but I do want to put that.
And even what they thought he was doing. It wasn't even what he was doing, but what they thought he even was doing was the reason why they were chasing him. Still wasn't even close to being something that you would think you would need you would need to pull out a firearm for.
That time period in context. And the only way I could think to do so may be a little theatrical, but I think it's appropriate. I want us all to get a concept of time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit silently for 1 minute. And that 1 minute represents a fraction of the time that Ahmaud Arbery was running in Satilla Shores.
Oh. I can tell you now, just him even coming up with this idea shows how much this judge was thinking about this. Like how bothered he was about this, and how it was like, okay, yeah, you were found guilty. You guys were all found guilty, and y'all about to get sentenced. But I need for you to understand what just happened here. Like that's the point that he is driving home. That is so crazy. Like literally just being quiet during that time, you literally can just kind of feel like imagine running and with the fear that you have, this terror that you have, running, trying to think what to do, where to go, what's about to happen. And trying to imagine your own death is very hard to actually do, like in real time. Like that is very hard to grasp the concept that you are moments away from not existing. Oh my God, this is like my eyes feel like hot behind them. This shit is crazy.
That's approximately a minute. Again, the chase that occurred in Satilla Shores occurred over about a 5-minute period. And when I thought about this, I thought from a lot of different angles, and I kept coming back to the terror that must have been in the mind of the young man running through Satilla Shores.
Yes. Oh my God. And those were his last moments. Like, when you're afraid of something and then later you're like just telling someone about it, what happened. Like, That was he spent his last moment in absolute terror and then literally fighting for his life. And then just, you imagine the sound of that thing going off. Oh. And then they had him just laying there.
The jury heard the evidence and returned a verdict. And what a difficult job they had under the circumstances. Without any comment on the verdict itself, I think all counsel will agree and accept that this was a very difficult case to even get a jury impaneled on. And there are issues out there with regard to the jury that were brought up in the press and elsewhere.
Oh, my God.
Back thereof of the defendants. I've also considered any lawful evidence which tends to show the motive of the defendants, their lack of remorse, their general moral character, and any predisposition to commit other crimes. Now, I think in this case, the record speaks for itself, and the defendant's own words, I think, guide this court with regard to sentencing. Went back through my notes and other resources to pull some of the quotes that we have in this case. I'll start with Greg McMichael. In my opinion, Greg McMichael, very early on in this, tried to establish a narrative.
Mm-hmm.
He made comments.
Indeed, he did. Oh, brace myself from hearing the reminder of the comments that he made. Like they always do, create their narrative.
Like Ahmaud Arbery was trapped like a rat.
Oh. Son of a... They need to go up underneath of the jail. They need to go underneath of the jail.
Stop or I'll blow your, and I won't repeat it again, head off. He effectively admitted that he wasn't sure what Ahmaud Arbery had done wrong. Quote, I don't think the guy has actually stolen anything out there, or if he...
Holy shit. He said that? I knew that. But I didn't know he said that. I don't know what he did. I don't think he took anything.
He did. It was early in the process. But he keeps going back over and over again into this damn house. Again, back to the narrative. He told Travis, you have no choice.
Oh my God. Because he keeps going back in and out of this house.
Told another individual at the scene, this guy ain't no shuffler. This guy's an asshole. Commented that he wanted him, Ahmaud Arbery, to know that we weren't playing. If I could have gotten a shot at the guy.
Look at it. Look at these two. Look at these two. This is son. This is his father. Faja. Just like their entitlement that's sitting on these two Caucasian faces. They really thought, they believed, like, wholeheartedly that it was their right, period, to just do that.
I would have shot him. Travis McMichael claims he was in shock. Shot him. We weren't playing. If I could have gotten a shot at the guy, I would have shot him. Travis McMichael claims he was in shock. But it's interesting because he talks about his concern for his child and his own well-being. Part of this was while the victim was actually laying there in the street.
Wow. Commented,
this is the worst day of my life. Well, I think it's been touched on here today. There were other individuals that were impacted. I'll look at the video of this incident. When I say this.
Oh, no, you're going to get the worst day of your life. Oh, she's coming. She is coming. The worst day hasn't happened yet. You know how I know? Because you still look like you. That worst day is coming. Wait for it. Wait for it. Here it comes.
The video, I think everybody knows what we're talking about, but there was one part of it that struck me as absolutely chilling. And that is, I believe it's in the enhanced video provided by the GBI. There's a frame where I believe Ahmaud Arbery, it looks to be, if he's 20 yards out, that may be close, 30 yards out. And it's the frame of Travis McMichael lifting the shotgun to fire at Ahmaud Arbery. And you watch that with context. And when I say context, after hearing the evidence in this case, again, thinking about a young man that had been running at that point for almost 5 minutes, and it is a chilling, truly disturbing.
Oh, you imagine how hard his heart was beating. I have heart palpitations. I can tell you it is extremely unsettling when that thing gets like an uneven rate and it literally feels like it's going to come out of your chest. These are his last moments, people. Last moments. I'm a person who watches horror movies for leisure. Like, I find them entertaining. This is a real life he was in a real life horror movie.
Scene. And we got there because Travis McMichaels' father saw Ahmaud Arbery hauling down the street and calls out, "Let's go." At that point, Travis McMichael, despite whatever may have been going on in his life at that time, with regard to family or otherwise, just goes, grabs a shotgun and goes because he assumes that it is the right thing to do. Ahmaud Arbery.
No, he just wanted to fire that gun. They were looking for an excuse to do this. This is like a rite of passage for these people. They just gotta wait for the right opportunity where it's their turn.
Arbery was then hunted down and shot. And he was killed because individuals here in this courtroom took the law into their own hands. Mr. Bryan, he joined in after calling out to the McMichaels. Y'all got him? Claimed he didn't know what was going on, but obviously wanted to know if this individual who was running through the neighborhood, who he didn't know, had been caught in some way. Said, quote, "I figured he'd done something wrong, but I didn't know for sure." All right, that wasn't actually the quote.
Of course, you thought he did something wrong. He was black. He was black and he was running. That is a crime in the United States of America. Okay, that is a crime. If you didn't know that was a crime, you just heard it here. I just told you that was a crime. That is an actual crime. They will snatch you up or shoot you on sight for that, for being black and running. This is what it is.
These quotes are two separate quotes. Didn't know for sure. I thought he would get away. And this is the part that is disturbing to me with Roddie Bryan. If the guy would have stopped, this would have never happened. All of these quotes give context, I think, to the...
If somebody is chasing you with a shotgun, there's two things that are going to happen. You're either going to freeze in fear or you're going to run for your life. Those are the two, right? Like, you only have you don't have a shit ton of options, okay? Only a sociopath or somebody who has like an extreme calm nature would be able to sit in that moment and think to themselves, I wonder if I could maybe have a rational conversation with these people and talk them down from whatever this looks like this is about to be. And in the moment be able to do that calmly with somebody with a shotgun screaming at you. And you just know, just because of how this went, the way that he was yelling at him, it had the obvious tone of, you done fucked up now, Negro. You in the wrong spot. This is you know that this is what happened. And, oh my God, I can't believe it was so long ago. Like, it has been almost 2 years.
Video that we saw during the case. And Miss Wanda Cooper-Jones this morning made a statement that I think when you look at these statements and you see the videos is very true. And that is, she said, when they could not scare or intimidate him, they killed him. There's been discussion about remorse.
Well, just so you know, you did scare him and you did intimidate him. That's why he ran and tried to get away. This is why. So you did. You succeeded. You scared the shit out of him.
Remorse.
But they didn't think they scared him because he didn't cry and drop to his knees and plead for his life. That's what they mean when they say he wasn't scared. That's what scared looks like to them. When you begging them to spare you.
And I agree with counsel that it is dangerous for defendants who have multiple prosecutions against them to make statements of remorse. But remorse isn't something that is simply a statement of regret. Remorse, I think, can be determined by looking at somebody's reaction to difficult circumstances and the reality of the situation that they're in. Again, it doesn't require an apology, and quite honestly, sometimes apologies are made simply to get past problems. Remorse is something that's felt and demonstrated. In this case, getting back to the video, again, after Ahmaud Arbery fell, the McMichaels turned their backs. It's, again, a disturbing image, and they walked away.
The deer was dead. They were hunting. This was them hunting. They don't typically kneel around the deer after they shoot it in the woods. They don't do that. This is exactly what they did to this boy.
This was a killing. It was callous, and it occurred, as far as the court is concerned, based upon the evidence, because confrontation was being sought. I think the statement was made during closing arguments. It's interesting to note that the most violent crime in Satilla Shores was the murder of Ahmaud Arbery.
Indeed.
So sentencing does not generally provide closure. I think Ms. Wanda Cooper-Jones also talked about closure. But I don't find that it really does. And I think that's an unfortunate thing. Because in this case, I think many people are seeking closure. The mother, the father, the community, and maybe even parts of the nation. But closure is hard to define and is a granular concept. Felony murder is vacated by operation of law. Count 3, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 4, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 5, felony murder, vacated by operation of law. Count 6, aggravated assault, merges into count 1. Count 7, aggravated assault. The court sentences the defendant to 20 years consecutive to count 1.
Yes, honey. Oh, you will have no hair. No hair. I give you 2 months, all that's going to be gone. Stress is a mysterious thing. Oh my gosh. Let's see if it's added some more on there. So stop at 20, Judge, but we're going to add a little more. We'll give him a little something extra.
Count 8, false imprisonment, merges into count 1. Count 9, attempted false imprisonment, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20. Greg McMichael, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, defendant was found not guilty. Count 2, felony murder, life without the possibility of parole. Count 3, felony murder, vacated. When I say vacated, it's vacated by operation of law in all cases. I'm not going to repeat it. Count 4, vacated.
Look at him. No expression. No expression. You ain't got to show us your expression. You gonna feel it. Oh, you gonna feel it. They're gonna have to keep you completely secluded from everybody else. Even though I know there's a crew for you in jail. There's a crew for you in prison. We know what they look like.
Count 5, vacated. Count 6 merges into count 2. Count 7, aggravated assault, 20 years consecutive to count 2. Count 8, 10 years concurrent to count 7. Count 9.
This chick right here, but she said at the trial, the little closing arguments, Oh my God. They needed to send her to jail too, just for that she let come out of her mouth.
5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20 years.
Look at that. That is a white judge up there telling you all of these years that you're getting. This didn't turn out at all like you had hoped, did it? Oh my God. Well, this didn't work out at all.
Vacated. Count 5 vacated. Count 6 merges into count 2. Count 7, aggravated assault, 20 years consecutive to count 2. Count 8, 10 years concurrent to count 7. Count 9, 5 years concurrent to count 7. That is life plus 20 years. Roddie Bryan.
Nice. Nice. Life plus 20. Oh, you ain't coming out. He probably gonna be out of it. He gonna be off the planet in by about 3 years anyway. They never last long. The older ones, when they go, they don't last very long.
And I do want to separate a little bit because the state is making a different recommendation. And despite the back and forth that Mr. Goff and I had during this case, I do want to point out a couple things that he raised that I think are appropriate to raise with regard to the sentence. As far as the remorse, I think Roddie Bryan stands in very different shoes. It is obvious from the beginning that he questioned the tragedy that had occurred at the scene and was on, I believe, I can't remember whose body cam, but the body cam, in fact, questioning whether or not what had occurred, and then took steps early on in this process, I think, that demonstrated that he had grave concerns that what had occurred should not have occurred.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I did. When it first happened, it was apparent, like he knew, like he realized immediately what the fuck just happened? Like what just happened? Like he was clearly like a kind of like clueless follower, who probably wasn't the smartest branch on the tree, he wasn't the wisest fruit in the dish. He just wasn't. And so I kind of did feel a little bit like, like, God damn, because you could see a million different people ending up in the situation he did. He had no information. He just blindly followed someone with no information and ended up like an accomplice, and that's like the other nightmare is going to prison forever for being there when something happened, or like just for when the thing that happened wasn't your intention, the thing that happened wasn't your plan, the thing that happened wasn't like what you wanted to happen, like you just were there, you just made the decision to get in the car and then the people went and robbed the bank, you know what I mean, like it's and you literally are now, that's your life gone because of the company basically that you kept, or that you wasn't smart enough to decide not to follow creepy Caucasians in a pickup truck with a shotgun, and you thought everything was going to turn out fine. I don't know what the fuck you expected, sir, but he definitely doesn't necessarily match their criteria, the other two.
And I think that does make Mr. Bryan's situation a little bit different. Mm-hmm. However, Mr. Bryan has been convicted of felony murder.
He did.
And I do not believe it can be disputed based on the facts of this case that the verdict was an appropriate verdict based upon the evidence presented.
Yeah, because there are a ton of people sitting in jail, young people sitting in prison forever because of the same thing, because they were there when one of their clique did something crazy, and it was just, they all got ranked in there together. Isn't that crazy?
At least, and when I say appropriate, what I mean is legal. because I believe there's been some discussion about some differences between Mr. Bryan and the McMichaels. There may be some differences, but it does not change the fact that was it not for the fact that Mr. Bryan used his vehicle in a way to impede Mr. Arbery's course of travel, this may not have ever occurred, and that is sufficient for felony murder. He did cooperate with law enforcement. I will point out Mr. Goff, 1710-1B, there's actually a case out of Chatham County that says it would not apply under the circumstances of this case. So the court recognizing that Mr. Bryan's position is different. Again, Mr. Bryan was found not guilty on count 1 and count 2. The court sentences Mr. Bryan to life with the possibility of parole on count 3. Count 4 is vacated. Count 5 is vacated. Count 6, the defendant was found not guilty. Count 7 merges into count 3. The defendant is sentenced to 10 years consecutive to count 3 on count 8 and 5 years concurrent with count 8. Both of those counts, though, will be suspended sentences, which gives Mr. Bryan a life with the possibility of parole sentence. Those are the sentences, the court having pronounced sentence, first with regard to Travis McMichael. Mr. McMichael, you are hereby notified that under the law of Georgia, you are entitled to appeal the guilty verdict of the jury, and if you decide to do so, you must file your appeal within 30 days of this date.
Woo. That's rough. Don't be a follower. That's the moral of that story. You do not be a follower. You don't follow behind people who have all the hallmarks of some shit that's going to go awry. You don't do that. Oh my God. It's like the car was behind him, so he couldn't run the other way. He was scared to run the other way because he don't know if this guy is just like these guys. So he's stuck going forward, being chased by a pickup truck. Oh my God. I know it's like there's no such thing as closure. That's bullshit. There is no such thing as fucking closure. But this lady not having to go to these courts and deal with these lawyers and you know, like 2 years of not even being able to just sit and process what just happened here, because it's so permanent. It's so permanent. It's like, how do people do? I don't know. I can't even get into that. I get super triggered. So yeah, but I just wanted to. This is my first time trying to like covering something like this, but I just saw it. I think it happened yesterday. So I just wanted to, I thought I'd just cover it. So I will catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe out there. It's crazy. And there are wicked people. I love you. Peace.